Welcome to the Support Raising Solutions podcast, where we help new and current ministry workers grow in being spiritually healthy, vision-driven, and fully funded Great Commission workers. Welcome, everyone, to the SRS podcast. I am your host today, Callie Davis, and I am joined by the lovely Mary Donovan. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Callie. It's good to see you.
Absolutely great to see you. Mary is joining us working with FamilyLife with over 20 years of ministry experience. So there is a lot of stories there. And I'm so excited because Mary is joining us today to really tackle the topic of how do you share the story? How do you do well when you are raising support, but you don't really consider yourself, or maybe your job title isn't that frontline worker. You're not the one who is leading the church plant, preaching the gospel. You might not think of yourself as really in the trenches, digging the wells. You're sometimes called support staff, admin staff, whatever your job title might be. You're maybe a step removed from that boots on the ground, but still vital in ministry. So we want to talk about how do you share your story? How do you share your vision? And how do you connect what you're doing and how vital it is with the people that are partnering with you? So Mary, maybe just give us a quick overview. What is it that you do and kind of why are you so passionate about it?
Well, I love what I do. And what I do is make sure that there are people on the front line who will be able to share the gospel, wholly focused and undistracted by their support issues. If we want people to be able to serve forward and lean forward into their ministry, they can't keep checking back over their shoulder like it says in the gospel. They got to be able to plow forward, focused and undistracted. So that's my job. What I do is I help our FamilyLife staff, our full-time missionary staff, and some of our affiliate staff keep their support at a healthy level. Now, not everybody at FamilyLife serves in a frontline ministry. Not everyone is at an event or serves on the radio. A lot of us, like me, serve in the support center. So how do you find the passion to raise support in the support center? And that's what I really like to do.
Well, and I love just hearing your description right there. That already sounds more interesting than I answer emails all day, or I'm just a part of HR. Even how you view and describe your own role is so, so vital.
I've always preferred to sing backup. In the choir, I sang harmony. I didn't like to sing solos. But just think about it. Think about Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. You know, ooh, baby, baby. That would be nothing if it was just Smokey. It was the Miracles that gave him his oomph, you know? It was the backup singers. And if you think about theater, you think about Hal Holbrook and his Mark Twain Tonight, one-man show. There were 14 other crew members behind the scenes.
For a one-man show.
For a one-man show. It's not a one-man show. And it would be so easy to think that ministry is about the people who stand in front with the microphones or interact face-to-face. No, there are no one-man shows in ministry. And so we all need to find value in the point that we play in the ministry that is going forth.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, how did you get started in this role in helping people with their support raising? Kind of what is your call maybe into this role specifically? And how do you share that?
Well, I like support raising. And that's if I had a chance to take a full-time paid salary or raise support, I would always choose raising support.
Now, wait, did you always think that? Because that is a rare...
No, I always thought that. Thought that. My desire is that other people would see and value and be part of all of what God's doing in the world. And not everybody can go.
That is true. Well, Mary, where did you start out? Like, how did you get into this kind of support raising, influencing role?
Well, I served on the team at FamilyLife that helped both new staff and senior missionary staff raise their support initially and then keep their support over the long term. And my role was to develop resources and training to help our staff. So it was sometimes just kind of a one-off thing as someone would come to me and say, hey, is there a brochure or is there a teaching on this? Sometimes it was for the entire staff, and we'd do a training that would have 60 or 70 people there. As Family Life moved to Crew headquarters in Orlando, a lot of the staff that were in our team, we had a team of 8. A lot of that staff came to the time of their lives when they were either going to retire or they moved into different ministries. And I was kind of left with one of my coworkers, the last couple of people standing in the room. So they asked, would we consider the position? And it seemed daunting to me. Mm-hmm. But I remembered that my call to our staff always has been, more than to families in general. Over the last few years, my call has really focused into my call being for the staff, to the staff of Family Life, to keep them supported, to keep them encouraged, to keep them strong in the work that God has called them to do. So it was just really a stepping up and focusing of my energies in a way that allowed me to be more purposeful in developing tools and resources for our staff to use in general. And I have enjoyed it tremendously.
Well, I love how you're sharing that it wasn't this dramatic calling experience that some people have of, God put this on their heart that they were 100% going to fill this role, this job title. I love that clarity. I wish I had that clarity when I first started in ministry. I definitely did not. But I love how your journey wasn't one of this divine utterance that you responded to, but really just circumstances as opportunity presented itself, but you could see what God had been doing and where God had been moving your heart. And that is, wow, that is still such a powerful calling, even if it didn't look like the kind of dramatic writing on the wall. And you're still seeing God was leading you to this. God was building this passion. He did call you, and he just opened this door of opportunity. I love that.
And more, I think, in the call to step up into the supervisory role has been an object lesson for me to see my dependence on God for the success of whatever I do. Because this is beyond my ability, my natural ability to serve 144 staff units like this well. But truly, all of our support raising is beyond our own natural ability. If we're going to be raising support in our natural ability, we're going to run out of that, and it's not going to be sustainable. If we are going to have sustained support over years of deep, true Christian missionary service, then it's going to have to be based on what God does in us and through us, not our own cleverness and how we can manipulate and trick people into giving us money.
Right.
So this has been an object, the whole of my stepping up into this role has been very much an object lesson in that very singular truth. Some people are the rope holders. In Acts 9, they held the ropes for Paul to go down over the wall and keep going forward. And there's value in every single part of what we do. I like for people to understand that they play a part in it, and sometimes that part is to support those who are going. So I like people to get excited about what I'm getting excited about. I like people to feel their portion of what God is calling them to the gospel. Jesus had women who went with them, who washed the socks and cooked the fish and provided, Priscilla and Aquila provided important tent making opportunities for Paul to continue with what he was doing, so that Paul could then go out farther and share the gospel. These are all support opportunities, whether it's financial support, whether it's administrative support. It's all about locking arms together for the cause of the gospel and doing our part in it. It can't just be about one person moving forward, one person sharing the ministry and nobody else counts. We all have our part to play. And I like the fact that I have 130 or 40 people praying for the work I do every single day. To think that even in support raising, and encouraging others and raising their support, that I'm able to do that myself. No, I want 140 people praying for me as I help you raise your support.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not smart enough by myself.
I totally understand. And I love that vision you have of seeing that bigger picture and connecting those dots. I think so often the struggle comes up for these admin staff, the people working in headquarters or an office, that they see kind of an us, them. There's those that go out, and then there's just the we that remain, that, file the papers and make sure everything's compliant. And, we just kind of work back here while they go out and do the real ministry. And that is so sad, because they're missing how vital both pieces are. And
one can't do it without the other.
Exactly.
They cannot. So I don't have a voice to sing solo. I don't.
I'm with you
but
there.
But I can do harmony. Like we said about Hal Holbrook, I cannot do Mark Twain Tonight, but I can turn on the lights, and I can do his makeup so he'll look good. We all serve in the shape that God has made us. And my shape is to encourage others to do their best work. And that's why I do what I do. Yeah. My heart at Family Life, my call to Family Life, is to serve the missionaries as they serve in their call. And for me, it's to understand that value does not come with notoriety. Value comes when I serve well in the shape God has made me. So I have to serve in that shape fully. And my shape is as an encourager and a supporter, an administrative gift. That's what I do. So that's what I encourage support staff to do. I think that they need to figure out what called them first to their ministry. Were they called by a microphone and a spotlight? Or were they called by God, the God of the gospel, to share the word broadly, however they possibly can? Now, I might not be the voice behind the microphone, but I will make sure that that person is as equipped as they can be in the call that God has placed on their life. My job is to equip them to do their work. So I think everybody first has to decide why they were called to the very ministry that they're in. First, for my case, it's Family Life. It's to share the gospel broadly, to equip the saints, and to send them out. And then secondly, to come up with their own vision and mission statement. Ours in our department is to see that the missionaries on the front line are Christ-centered, fully funded, and financially faithful. So for me, when I share my ministry with my partners, that's what I tell them, that my job is to make sure Christ-centered and fully funded missionaries stay on the mission field. It's very easy. It's a very easy story to sell right there.
I love the clarity that you've really gotten with that. Like, that's just a phrase and a half barely. So it's easy to communicate. It's easy to share. And it's also really clear, the value. It's not this paragraph that you're trying to wade through. Well, here starts this, and then it trickles to that. You have done this discerning to really hone in on that spear point, that tip of, this is why I am here.
Well, and I think that's what everyone needs to do. Let's go to an accounting person. Let's go to a graphics design person. Let's go to someone in facilities, in a ministry.
Absolutely.
Do you believe there's value in what you do? Do you believe that your part in the ministry is important? Here's a good way to discern that. Here's a way to come up with your own mission statement. What wouldn't be done if you were not there to do it? I don't mean they could hire another accountant. I don't mean that. If your role in accounting was not there, accounts payable, accounts receivable, the graphics design person, we'd all be there with our Crayolas and our publisher,
Yeah.
Your facilities guy, there would be no electricity in the building. If your role was not there in your ministry as a whole, how would that impact the ministry?
Ooh.
That's how vital you are. Every brick in the wall, even if it seems small, contributes to the stability and integrity of the whole. If you remove that brick from the building, from the wall, the integrity of the building suffers. If your role was removed from the ministry, the integrity of the ministry suffers. Its ability to move forward in its ministry and mission suffers. Take a moment and pray about it and distill the true value of your role in the ministry. And then move forward in that. When you get that, move forward to how that role impacted someone on the front lines. If your role is facilities, how does your facilities role impact the people who arrange for the events that impact thousands of marriages? You keep the lights on. You make sure the T on my computer works. You make sure that our reports go from A to B with financial integrity. You design with consistency and clarity the graphics and visuals that translate a abstract ministry into something people can relate to as soon as they look at it. Each of you has a role in transmitting the heart of God in this mission context to your supporters. You just have to distill it.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about is it can be really difficult for a person to go from, okay, yes, my work is valuable, it connects, but how do you communicate that connection? How do you think through that connection? Because it's one thing to say, okay, yes, I matter, I keep the building standing, but how do you tell someone that keeping the building standing is what is moving the gospel forward?
One of the things I might recommend is ask the people around you. Do an inventory of the folks with whom you serve and say, tell me why you think my work here is important, and record it on your phone.
That's amazing.
Yes, and get, 5 or 6 or 10 or 12 or 45 of those ideas. Because that will, number one, it will help you feel and see your place in because everybody's going to tell you, oh my gosh, I couldn't do this without you. And they will tell you specifically what your ministry, what your work, what your activity does to impact their ability to serve. Then, once you kind of understand that, perhaps you want to find 1 or 2 of those people that you can write their story down and you can ask them, could I quote you on that? And then you would put that in a support letter or an increase letter, or you might ask them, would you let me include you in my letter? Would you write a little something? And then someone's going to say, we've known Dan and Mary Donovan for years, and their ministry with our staff has impacted us personally as they have resourced us with materials and with encouragement and with trainings so that we can serve more strongly in our call to the gospel. See, wow. Thank you, Bob and Pam Stelter, as they said that in our increase letter, and we were able to increase because somebody else said, yeah, they're important. Show a picture, take photographs. Do you work at a computer with lots of spreadsheets? Get someone to take a picture over your shoulder. Smile back and say, this is what I do. I know it looks complicated, but really it's about putting the gospel into concrete terms so that we can move forward with integrity. So much of support center stuff is about integrity. So much of it is about making order out of chaos. I used to have a man who'd say that the whole thing about driving, and I used to say this about our finance department, is about keeping us between the white lines and shiny side up. And that's what they do. It's like traffic on the road between the white lines and shiny side up. And without them, we could not function. Show that picture. Show that picture. Tell that story. Take a photograph. If you're proud of what you do in godly pride, then take a picture of that and smile about it.
Well, something also that comes to my mind is you might not get a great story from everyone you ask, because not everyone else is working to connect these dots. So don't be discouraged if maybe as you're looking for stories, as you're asking around, hey, what impact have I had? You might get one person who just hasn't taken much time to think, and the first thing off the top of their head might not be what you're looking for. That's okay. But I
ask more people.
Yes.
Ask more people.
Yes. And I would say from my point, I love when people ask me, what difference are they making? We have a great IT department. We have an amazing creative design department. Support Raising Solutions, we develop a lot of products that need a lot of help. And I would tell you in a heartbeat how many things would just epically fail if we did not have these teams supporting us and being a part of the ongoing tech issues, from when different language translations completely crash and I don't speak Brazilian. There is no way I can fix this.
Portuguese, not Brazilian.
Yes, thank you. I apologize. But even too, looking at our design department, they make us look amazing. Yes. And that just isn't just pretty. It was the first thing that I saw when I first interacted with SRS, and it changed how I viewed their entire message, because I saw it with professionalism. I saw it with excellence. I saw that there was value, and it was because it looked good.
Current design makes so much difference. And current, forward-thinking, clean concept artists, they think they're just, kind of that right brain kind of floating around. They are the first ones that transmit the message. Absolutely. When before the words even make sense, the pictures are there. And after the words are given, when the finances are being counted and the bills are being paid, the accountants are there. And when we're trying to make our computers work, the space bar works and the T on our computer works and our connections works and IT is there. And if it wasn't for us in the support center, we're like the supply lines in the military, Kelly.
Those fail, everything fails.
Everything fails. And so it really does come down to, do you value your own work in the ministry? And can you share that with passion? And so find people who will help you tell your stories in your ministry. Record those things. Use them when you can. Take photographs. Find someone who will give you what we used to call an authority paragraph for your increase letter or your support raising letter. Someone who can speak from authority, a manager, a vice president, a director, who can speak into the value of your role. But at the very end of it, we are all working for the cause of the gospel. And your ministry, whatever it is playing its part in that gospel, whether it's for families, for high schoolers, for business professionals, whoever you are in the whole picture of the gospel presentation. You joined that ministry for that purpose. So every time you can, you share the vision and the mission and the calling of your ministry. And you remind people that as they support you, they're supporting the work of that ministry. And you try to connect their hearts to whatever it is that ministry does. Businessman, high schooler, unwed mother, all of these things. You connect their hearts to that ministry. And then you let them know by supporting you, they're supporting the work of that ministry. If you want to get into the whole point of how my role of accounts payable supports that, you can get into that down the road. But initially is, can you share with clarity the vision and calling of the ministry to which you have been called, and help them understand that supporting you helps supports that ministry going forward?
Wow. Mary, that is powerful. I mean, I'm getting excited. I'm like, I need to go write a newsletter. I have stories to tell. The gospel is at work.
Yes. And you, Callie Buchholz, keep fully funded missionaries on the front lines. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love it. I think it's something that I started because I saw the need when I was on the fields. I was in ministry and I saw the day in and day out impact of people being underfunded. And that's why I do what I do, because that picture is still so clear in my mind of what happens when people are not fully funded, spiritually healthy, and vision driven. So for me, it's really easy to remember that connection because it was such a clear picture that I experienced around me. And so I get really excited about, like, guys, you don't understand. This is so important.
So why did you get that degree in accounting? Why did you pursue your heart for graphics design? What is it about the engineering process of facilities that excites you? Mm-hmm. What is it about IT that drew you into the field? That passion then combined with your vision for your ministry, what brought you to Crew? What brought you to InterVarsity? What brought you to Bible Study Fellowship? What brought you to any of these different ministries? Those marry together. And that's why you serve where you serve. Mm-hmm. That's why you do what you do. That's why God put you there. Mm-hmm. You are the perfect person for that role right now. Tell other people about that. Tell other people that that's why God called you to this role right now in this ministry today, because that's what makes your heart beat.
Wow. I don't think we can cap that, Mary. Wow. Well, listeners, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you are encouraged and given new passion, new life, new vision. What you do matters. And it is a part of moving the gospel forward. You have said yes to God to step into ministry, to step into the support raising space for a reason. Don't forget that reason. Don't forget that calling. Make sure you can communicate it and remember it and share it with as much excitement as you've heard here on the podcast today, because it is exciting. It is riveting and it is vital because God is at work and we want people to be a part of it. So thank you so much for joining us, Mary. Thank you, listeners, for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day today. Thanks for joining us today, and please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode as we work to give more insight into building and maintaining your ministry partnership team.